What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Untitled Friday show with your hosts, Kyle and Bama. Bama this week.
Roll Tide.
We got Sebastian for 1 week. We're spoiled, all right?
We'll see you next month, Sebastian.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. Oh, man. Hey, you guys, welcome to the show. This is the Untitled Smacked Raw show. Essentially, we're just going to talk wrestling in general and then anything that Bama and I just feel like discussing. Just
let's shoot the breeze, shall we?
Exactly. That's the very nice way to put it. But Bama, really quick, I've been forgetting to do this at the beginning of the show. So before we get into it, hey, you guys, over on YouTube, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss whenever our videos go up. Bama's got an awesome video going up. You said tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on our podcast and on our YouTube channel. It drops.
Nice. And that's the Jimmy Korderas interview, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Fantastic. Actually, we're going to touch back on that later on the show.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, man, hit that like button, subscribe. Also, check us out on patreon.com/SmackedRawPodcast. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can head on over to paypal.me/SmackedRawPod. We go live every Friday, Sunday on twitch.tv/puttingyouover. Follow us here. Of course, check out Standing Streamer on his dates, which is usually Tuesday and Thursdays. Also, speaking of Thursdays, you can always catch Katie Bebe and Savannah hosting the She Lead Showcase podcast. It's a fantastic show.
It's our crown jewel.
Man, it's my favorite thing to come home to on Thursday nights.
They do a great job.
They stream it live on actually our Twitch, twitch.tv/SmackDrawPodcast. Yes, I'm aware we have two Twitch channels that we stream on. It's weird, but just roll with it, folks.
Bear with us.
Yeah. Oh, man. Bama, thank you for joining the show tonight.
I'm not Sebastian, but I'll do my best. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure. Plus, you've been killing it lately. I got to strike
I'm
while
trying.
the iron's hot, man.
I'm trying. I got a couple of things in the works that I want to test out next Saturday, so we'll see how those go.
Yeah, from your top 10 tag teams to your, honestly, and I mean, without trying to play it up, fantastic interview with Jimmy Korderas. I was genuinely enthused the whole time. Like, I had you playing on the floor. I was at work. I had you guys playing in the background while I think maybe I was playing on my cell phone or something. I had you on my iPad. But then I was about 10 minutes to listen to you guys. I was like, oh, I can't miss this. And I took my lunch break. I took you guys to the back, and I watched the rest of the interview. I think my lunch break went long by like 15 minutes just because the interview was that good, folks. If you want to tune into this tomorrow, it's going to be fantastic. Bama is an extremely great professional. You could tell you did your homework.
When you have like I said, he's on my Mount Rushmore of referees, and the dude's a 22-year professional, so you better bring your A game. But all you have to do is lob up the ball and let him hit it. I mean, that's how good he is. So I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't that hard.
You practiced your layups, man. You practiced them. That's for sure.
I try.
Jimmy killed it, man. Jimmy Korderas.
Yeah, he did.
Check it out tomorrow on our YouTube.
Yeah, we will tweet it. We will all retweet it. It will go everywhere, and hopefully everybody watches it.
But Bama, that's actually going to bring me into my first thing. I actually last week I kind of struggled. I realized, you know what, I should have some notes prepped. So I got a couple things I'm gonna lob to you. All right.
Okay. Sure.
So we just got done talking up your interview with Jimmy Korderas.
Yep.
Who do you want to interview next? If you had free reign,
Oh.
who would be your next interview?
Now are we talking realistically, or are we talking dream?
So it'd be insulting if you said, like, who's your dream guy, and then who realistically do you think?
Okay. All right. Dream, Shawn Michaels.
Of course.
No question, Shawn Michaels. Not only because he shares my faith, but in my opinion, and a lot of professionals' opinions, he's the GOAT, the greatest to ever do it in the ring. So he would be a fantastic conversation. I would love to ask him the questions nobody ever asks him from the personal side of things. I would rather, and he may go, not talking about that, but you never know. I would do that. Realistically, honestly, I'm hoping and prayerfully setting up a show for September 11th And a couple of the guys I'm trying to get on that show are two very recent heroes of mine in the last 5 years. So if this works out and I can get one or two of these guys on that show, I'm going to be very, very, very nervous for that one.
You want to name drop who you're trying to coat or try to get on?
um, One is Dave LaGreca from Busted Open.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Jersey guy that works in New York, so he was in the area when September 11th happened. I'm wanting to do a handful of people that lived in that area and are somewhat connected to the wrestling business, and I want to talk about how not only that day impacted us as Americans, but also I want to watch the SmackDown that took place that night and recap it with these guys, and I want to hear their thoughts on how the heck you even do a show like that after what happened that morning. But then also, if we can get maybe one guy that was either behind the scenes at the show or somewhere in the vicinity of the show, I would love to know how the talent felt. I would love to know how the refs felt, what Vince felt, knowing we got to do a show tonight. I know everything just happened this morning, but we got to do a show. So,
yeah, I don't think SmackDown fell on that day. I want to say
it was on Tuesday, September 11th.
You know what? That's right, because that's back when they were taping them.
Correct.
So yeah, that's why, because it aired on Thursday, but realistically, yeah, that
right.
aired.
Correct.
Okay. So that's where my confusion's coming from.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my God, man, that's crazy.
20 years this year, man. 20 years ago.
Yeah, I remember I was a kid, and I was in so as a kid growing up, it's nothing too dramatic, but I was kind of troubled. I got in a lot of trouble, and so I was actually in a group home for a period of time. It was, I guess, like a recommendation to see if it'd get me straight. But I remember they ended up. Sorry, I'm talking away from the mic. They ended up accidentally showing us that because obviously the news had broke that one of the towers was struck, and so there's a bunch of us anxious kids in this group home, and so they have the news on for something for us all to sit around, and then sure enough the second one was struck, and I remember one of the counselors just rushing to the television, shutting it off, and was like, "Everybody to your rooms." And it was a crazy day, especially for a child.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school. Basically, the school shut down. Everybody had every TV in the building possibly on. Of course, elementary kids couldn't watch it, but junior high and high school were allowed to. And yeah, we just it took me a couple of days to process this really just happened. It looked like an action movie or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, this has got to be, there's no way this is reality. But then, for sure enough, you start to notice that this is really happening. So.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a very intriguing show.
If it falls into place, we may have to cancel the whole thing if nobody can do it, because I'm not gonna. I mean, we could probably get a handful of us to sit around and watch that episode and talk about it, but to me, the weight of it means more if you can get at least one person that lives up there in that area, can go, hey, look, I when that day happened, I knew where I was. I saw stuff out the window. I watched SmackDown that night. Here's how I felt about I feel like we need something that would help make it worth really doing. So.
No, I understand where you're coming from. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Obviously, man, you're really talented. So I'm sure.
I'm trying.
So, shifting gears to a little bit more lighter topics and stuff, and more current events. Obviously, there's been a big light on death matches lately, with Nick Gage facing off against Matt Cardona, and then obviously the Chris Jericho match. What's your take on death matches and the whole Nick Gage situation?
I'm in the same boat as Jimmy. Not my cup of tea. If I can turn them off, I will. But I'm not going to reprimand or tell someone who enjoys them that what they're doing is wrong. It's just, I just personally think that they're not helping. Are they broadening the ability to maybe get a few more eyes? Yeah, but I think the people that came there to watch, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega go one-on-one, that when they watch that kind of match, they're like, why am I watching this? So. Nah, that's just my personal opinion.
I got you. I kind of fall I'm kind of like apathetic towards it. I enjoy it, but I'm definitely so like when I was a teenager, I was a very bloodthirsty teenager, man. I was
Mm-hmm.
piss and vinegar. So, that's I ended up transitioning from watching pro wrestling to UFC just because of
Right.
that reason alone. And then later on, I fell in love with like martial arts and the
Yeah.
science of everything.
You're an
So,
ECW fan too, right?
well, no, I never really got to see ECW growing up.
Okay.
It was either on cable network that I didn't have or I wasn't aware of it. And then by the time I was exposed to ECW, it went under like a couple months later, and then
Right.
WWE absorbed it. So I was never like
Right.
I never watched ECW in its day. Hell,
Gotcha.
I've only probably turned it on once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But well, anyways, I was there. I was there at Dynamite this week,
Yeah,
and
by all means. Yeah, tell me about it.
so uh, for one guy behind me spoke up. The only time I ever heard this guy talk was when Nick Gage was coming out, and the guy was hating on Nick Gage and the death match with Matt Cardona.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I saw it, it was trash, this and that, and me,
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it in the moment. I just like to poke the bear. I was like, man, it was badass. What are you talking about? Like I can't help it, man. I hate to see somebody piss and moan. Like I can't stand it. And so usually I'll antagonize them if it gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing came of it. The guy just ignored me. But
Gotcha.
whenever so the match everyone got hyped. I didn't hear anybody complaining, but when the pizza cutter was used, we had a
Mm-hmm.
big monitor just to the right of us that you look over to get the close-ups.
Right.
And dude, everybody was squirming in their chair, like trying to
Mm.
push themselves back.
Yeah.
It was genuinely. It got the reaction I guess you're supposed to elicit. You know what I
Shock.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very shocking. I don't know. I've watched the first half of Dynamite, so I don't know how it translated on television. But when I saw it, to me, it obviously looked. I hate to say it, but like fake. It looked like he wasn't
Yeah.
really cutting Chris Jericho. I bet that shit was dull as hell. Chris Jericho even posted a picture of himself after the match, and from what Nick Gage was doing compared to like Chris Jericho's face,
Correct.
I think it was okay, but
Right. I think Matt Cardona looked worse for wear than Chris Jericho
hell
did.
yeah, man. But no, props to Chris Jericho. I mean, the light
Oh yeah.
tubes, the glass, he still got cut up. He just, he wasn't letting another man blade his face for him on television. And I
Right.
think TNT probably would draw the line there too.
I think so too.
What'd you think of this whole Domino's controversy we had?
I understand where they're coming from. I know why they don't want to jump on this because I don't think anybody biting into a pizza Domino sauce wants to wonder if that's sauce or blood. So I definitely think that I don't blame them for wanting to keep their image clean, but how the heck they didn't know that was going to happen? How the it? What do you think? Was it staged? Did they know we're about to cut the commercial, grab the pizza cutter, and that's our first commercial? It almost.
That is too coincidental to
I'm
not
telling you,
have been pre-planned.
how?
I'm
Yeah.
telling the producers probably had the match. I mean, in my mind, this is truly what I think happened. The producers knew when Nick Gage was going to go for the pizza cutter. They probably wanted to go to picture and pick. Now, so I'm assuming did you watch the broadcast?
I've seen that part of it.
Okay,
so I saw how no pun intended. I saw how it cut to the commercial when that happened. Yeah.
So
yeah.
what I would like to know, if anybody actually saw the broadcast, was the pizza cutter shown blading Chris's face outside of the picture-in-picture? Because in my mind, the producers was like, okay, we're not going to stop him from brandishing the pizza cutter, but let's try to obscure it a little bit by shrinking the screen and do it in picture-in-picture,
Right.
to lessen the shock factor to the fans at home.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's what they did. In which case, yeah, they totally knew. Like, oh, you know what else would be funny? Let's run a pizza ad like that has a pizza cutter in it at the same time. But SmackDown after 9/11 was live on that Thursday the 13th. I'll have to look into that, man. See, that's what I thought too. I thought I heard that.
I don't know
something we'll have
why.
to look into.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I was almost positive they went live on Tuesdays at that time, but I
No,
guess I'm
they
wrong.
weren't live on Tuesdays. They were taping.
Okay.
Yeah, no, back then they taped Raw, SmackDown back to
Right.
back, but SmackDown was not on Tuesday nights. Like
Right.
SmackDown was on Thursdays forever.
I think what made it special was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first major live event to take place after 9/11.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's what made it.
that's
Yeah.
it right there.
Right.
Back to the pizza cutter incident.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it was pre-planned, but also I think people are blowing it out of proportion, and I think
Yeah, I do too.
I read the report, and I think all that really came from the report that I read was something kind of like what your parent says if they're like upset with you. They just literally just say like, we're gonna have to think about this.
Right.
You know, not like we're pulling our sponsorship or we're threatening you guys. More or
Mm-hmm.
less like that was kind of a dick move to not let us know what you're doing. We're gonna sit back and kind of think about our partnership, but probably
Right.
do nothing. You know,
Right.
the only thing that my favorite thing about this is Pabst Blue Ribbon just shooting every shot it can take on Twitter.
Mm.
If you guys aren't familiar, Pabst Blue Ribbon has been riding the wave, man. They're essentially trying to kick Domino's out and
Yep.
offer their sponsorship to Dynamite.
Yep.
Which,
So they want to do everything except put their logo on Hangman Adam Page's chaps.
yeah, man. Oh man. So yeah, I think it's all blown out of proportion. I saw Bob, our friend of the show, Bob, who I love to just give shit regularly, posting some video of like Domino's just kicking the crap out of AEW. I was like, man, I don't know if it's that, but go ahead, take your shots when you can get them, Bob.
Well, I saw somebody else say, "Well, that's no problem. Shaq will just tell Papa John's to jump in."
That's what I was saying. I thought Pizza Hut and Domino's, their social media really missed the opportunity today, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was all fun.
Yeah.
So when you did that interview,
Yeah.
I realized I was like, man, you really do have a lot of talent that could translate well. And it made me think, you know, if you could get a job within the wrestling industry, what would you be doing? What would you want to do in the wrestling industry?
Man, I don't think I have enough. I don't think I have enough skill to manage.
If you could learn on the job, no one's gonna say you need 10 years of this. Like, look,
Right.
we're gonna pair you up with Michael Cole if you want to be an announcer, and you're gonna learn on the job. Like,
I'm saying that, yeah,
position?
I could do. I think I could do play by play. Or excuse me, I think I could do color. I don't think I could do play by play because to have somebody screaming in your ear breaks and times and make sure you say this and that, I'd probably scream back in the mic, "Shut up, please." So yeah, so I don't think I could do Michael Cole's job. That's a special breed of animal to do that. I think I would love to be an agent. I would love to help people discover. I'm big. Those of you that don't know, I'm a pastor in ministry. So one of the things I love to do is help people discover giftings they have and help them discover, if you're good at something, if God's given you something, then use it to help other people. And so what I love to do is I would love to meet with the talent and go, look, this is a part of your personality. This is a part of your character. How can we use this? This is something that happened to you in real life. How can we, without blatantly ripping off your personal life, how can we use this to fuel what you're going through right now with your character? And also, help in the creative way, make storylines make sense, make them where people can sit back and actually blur the lines for a minute and go, wait a second, is this a shoot? Are they really pissed at each other? Or is this real? Is it, that's what we're missing. Everything, like anytime Bailey and Sasha got into anything, part of you wanted to go, they're best friends. There's no way this is real, but also best friends fight. So you never know if backstage there's a beef with each other, if they had an argument, they're taking it out in the ring. So that's the kind of stuff I would love to bring a little bit of that realism back to the sport and let people sit back in their chairs and go, I have no clue what this is, but I like it and it doesn't feel fake to me. So
you know who was good at blurring those lines, and this is one of the only times you'll hear me compliment the man, is Bret and Owen Hart.
Oh yeah, Bret was a master at it. Yeah,
their brotherly rivalry just felt so real and so genuine.
Yeah. Bret and Shawn was real.
Yeah,
it was absolutely.
It
was absolutely real.
That was real. Like that was like, hey, let's try to capitalize on this without killing each other. Like same thing with for a period of time was Matt Hardy and Edge.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
like you being in love with a girl, you get injured, you're on the shelf, she keeps working, starts cheating on you with like one of your best
Mm.
friends, and then works like, you know what? Let's pair you guys up, you know,
Yep.
and make you now
Yep.
work together every
Yep.
day. That is
Yep.
I would love to I mean, it's probably been answered before a million times, but I would really love to hear like just like from Matt and Edge, like what your gut
Mm-hmm.
reaction when they said, "Hey, let's turn
Mm-hmm.
this into an angle and
Mm-hmm.
let's take this real life drama going on behind the scenes
Right.
and let's bring it to the light." And God, I couldn't imagine, man.
I mean, I've seen Edge's side of it. He had said that he was like just at the place where he and Matt were finally starting to somewhat have peace, and then they said, "Let's do this," because the fans aren't forgiving it. So it's like the fans are already rabid about it. So let's use it. And Edge is like, "I just got my friend back. I don't know if I want to do this." So
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good to hear that it wasn't in the heat of the moment. But I imagine it still would rekindle a lot of stuff.
I mean, yeah, they weren't back 100%, but what I'm saying is they were like talking. They were trying to at least try to get past it. So, yeah.
I think I would, if I was in the wrestling industry, I think honestly, like my best features, I would probably be a talent scout. Like, so
I could definitely see you doing
relations. That. I could
definitely see you doing that.
Yeah, just go out, watch stuff, and then be like, "Yo, that dude's got it. Like, come here. That's you guys need to hire this fella." Like,
I think that's what Samoa Joe's doing now.
Yeah, man. That's what I would do. I'd love to be a talent scout. Plus, also, man, all the unknown wrestlers you get to see, and you just imagine that's a cool feeling being there on the up and up. That's how I feel about Matt Vertigo. Watching that guy,
yeah,
I feel like I'm like, man, I can't wait till this guy blows up, and I can be like, dude, I've been watching this dude since he was like on the indies and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that guy's gonna be legit for sure.
I feel like we kind of have that relationship with Thunder Rosa. We've seen her, with Mission Pro Wrestling. Streamer had her on his show like 2 times before anybody knew who she was.
And he asked that. He made, what was the comment he made?
You look tired.
Yo, oh my God. For one, you don't say that to a person, let alone a woman.
No.
And then 2, on air.
Yeah. Oh and but point is that she went from that to, when I first saw her was NWA Power on YouTube. She had just debuted and Melina was getting behind her. So I was like, okay, she's getting the rub from Melina. This is cool. And then COVID hits and Power's gone.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're like, did she make enough of an impact where people give a care about her? And then when she started making waves on enhancement matches on AEW, I'm like, okay, everybody's going to see what I saw. And now she's signed, and she and Britt Baker are going to probably go at it here pretty soon. I'm excited.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah, so, always.
I don't remember who it was. It was either Sebastian or Benji. Mm-hmm. But we had a chance to have her on SmackDown before Streamer ever had her on his show.
Wow.
Yeah, so at the time, I was in the midst of filling my plate with too much stuff that I could handle.
Right.
And so they were like, hey, I have her interested. She said she can come on. I didn't know who she was. And I was being too lazy to be like, all right, let me go find a bunch of tape on her. So I said, well, look, you go ahead and interview her, and we'll have her on.
Right.
And I remember the person they didn't want that part. They got her invited, but they didn't want to conduct the interview.
Gotcha.
I let it go. It didn't even dawn on me till, like a year later. I was like, oh shit, we had an opportunity to have her on SmackDown. Didn't even know, man.
Wow.
Yep.
Good luck trying to get her now.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm sure she would do it, but she probably has an appearance fear at this point.
Oh my gosh, she's everywhere now. Everywhere.
Yeah. She's a big deal now. That's for sure. What's your take on Brian and Punk here?
I called into Busted Open today, and I asked David and Mark Henry, if you could only pick one of them for AEW, who would be the better for you long term? And they both agreed Bryan Danielson, which is interesting. But I see their point in that, because I feel a little bit of the same way. Bryan Danielson, with the open door now, he wants to wrestle everywhere. Mm-hmm. He loves to wrestle. He's got the same thing John Moxley has. He's got the same thing that, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, any of these guys that just want to get on the mat and do this. They just love to do that. Whether or not they do it in front of 5 people or 500,000 people, they just want to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
So Daniel Bryan has that. Bryan Danielson has that. So sorry, I hit the mic. So I think that passion to get into New Japan, go over to Impact, ROH, wherever the door opens for him. Also, we've heard so many experts and people who've done interviews on any platform that said Bryan Danielson is one of the most brilliant match psychologists walking the planet right now. His ability to make you care about him or make you hate him or make you care about the other person or hate the other person is bar none. So I feel like AEW needs a lot of that. They need a lot of people to help take these great matches with these great athletes and say, moves are awesome, but do the move like this and people will actually care about it, and do the move like this and it'll mean something. So I feel like they would do better with that. But at the same time, as much as people love Bryan Danielson and would love to see him do all this stuff, Chicago, the pipe bomb, the anti-Vince, the anti-Triple H, the anti-WWE banner waiver, as much as he says, watch everything, we all know he really deep down remembers getting that letter on his wedding day saying you're fired. So as much as Bryan Danielson is better long-term, for shock and awe, they need CM Punk. And we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of share the same, like, in the way I voice is CM Punk will make the larger splash initially.
Correct.
But Daniel Bryan definitely has more legs on him. Like, just the dude, yeah, he'll offer so much. I remember like what really got me was during his whole Eco Championship reign, like I remembered like I ended up gushing over like every show he was on.
Yeah.
Just because like the guy, not only, did you say everything about him, he made you care about people you never cared about. Like he made Eric Rowan relevant, and not only that, entertaining to be on television, And
let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
Would Kofi Mania have worked at all if Daniel Bryan hadn't been the dance partner?
I mean, it helped the match. I think there's a couple heels you could have had where Kofi conquered them. I mean,
I'm talking about the 2.5 month build to make us care that Kofi's the guy.
well, I do. A lot of that fell on Kobe or Kofi, excuse me, in that gauntlet match.
Yeah.
He felt the momentum he got from being the Iron Man in the gauntlet, and getting fired up, and then just was able to carry that momentum. I feel like there's, because they kind of built it with everybody. They did it with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon got in there. They used the whole Bryan B plus player story on Kofi. I think you could have affiliated almost any heel with the McMahons, and it still would have worked. But I mean, Daniel Bryan, obviously, if you want a damn good match,
right,
put Daniel Bryan in there. And not only will you have a great moment, you'll have a great match.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think everybody played a part, and I don't think one person would have made or broke that that outside of, like, say, Kofi himself.
Yeah. It is crazy that just previously 5 years before we were chanting yes for this guy, and then we were trying to boo the crap out of that building for Kofi to beat him. That's talent, and he's got it. And nothing against Punk's psychology. Punk knows how to put a match together. Punk is, I've said, probably the top 10 favorite matches of all time is Punk versus Cena, Money in the Bank 2011. That the way that building was so behind him, but even by the end of it, you're like, the way to get any sympathy for John Cena in that match was impossible. And somehow, some way, Punk turned some of those fans to start cheering John. And it was how the heck he did that, I don't know, but he did. And so there's a lot of ring psychology and match put together. He is so good at what he does. He's, of course, one of the best on the stick to ever walk the earth. But I just think I agree with you. I think long-term storylines, bridging the gaps of all the companies, Bryan Danielson's the way you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, to fire that big first real shot at Fort Sumter, yeah, CM Punk's the guy.
CM Punk, yeah. You know what's crazy to me is the reports coming out that the short run of it is WWE don't care that, CM Punk is going to show up on AEW reportedly.
Mhm.
However, they do feel a certain way about Daniel Bryan. And what gets me about that is because like I said, I can't confirm these or not, but from the reports, what I've gathered is what's being said is they just assumed he would stick around with WWE. And they're I'm not going to say outraged or upset or anybody's losing their mind, but kind of stung that he didn't come back. And it's WWE. You had ample notice.
Yep.
The reports came out for months, months before his contract expired. He was telling you guys he wanted to wrestle for New Japan. You guys made an attempt, I think it was, to reach out to New Japan.
Yep.
All you had to do was let the man wrestle. That was it. Let the man wrestle.
Give him creative control. That's all you had to do.
Dude, I don't know about that, but just let him have some of the things he wants, and not to mention a name like that. You might turn a lot of the people who are so quick to jump on your back about believing all the rumors that, the WWE isn't, the happiest place for wrestlers to work, and to have Daniel Bryan flying the flag saying, hey man, I did a lot for the company. Now they're going to rub my back a little bit and let me go ahead and head on over to Japan or bring a guy in from Japan. Most likely they'd bring a guy in from Japan.
I would.
Yeah. You had all the opportunity in the world. It just comes down to just the old, it's essentially WWE's way or the highway. Well, Daniel Bryan took the highway, man. And
he did.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's crazy that you could, in one breath, it's like that meme of what's his name? Eric Anders or whatever, shooting his buddy and be like, why would he do this? It's like you had your chance with the fella,
right?
Man.
Yeah.
Oh well.
The bigger shockwave of this though, dude, is Daniel Bryan doing this. If it happens again, we don't know. Everybody's Tony Khan even is the first to say, look, there's been so many reports said about everything, and I'm not going to confirm a lot of them, but he said a lot of them are just not true. Yeah. And he said, so until like Mark Henry, until they walk out with the shirt on, you don't know. And so but I will say this, if this is true and they do have Bryan Danielson, this not only sends a shockwave about that, this sends a shockwave to every single person under the WWE banner that is like Daniel Bryan. And what I mean by that is they are under 6'1" and just really love to wrestle. So this opens up that door for guys like Adam Cole, like Kyle O'Reilly, like Roderick Strong, like fill in the blank, anybody on the main roster that fits that mold that they'll maybe never look like a superstar, but they can sure as heck wrestle like one. And if they're gonna do this to Daniel, CM Punk was such a polarizing figure that even if you understood where he was coming from, I'm never going to be as brash as that guy. I'm never going to do what that guy did. I'm not going to leave the company like that. I'm not going to put myself in that position. I'm not that guy. But with Daniel Bryan, a lot of guys on WWE roster identify with him and understand exactly where he was and what he went through. And they're going, okay, if their number one yes movement, face of the company at several points, Daniel Bryan, did this, what are they going to do with me? And what's going to happen to me? This really could be a shockwave for guys. I'm going to put Adam Cole at the top of that list. He may give Britt a call and go, when my contract comes up, I'm not renewing. And if the Bullet Club's really going to start making waves, hey, I was a part of that too. So you just never know. You just never know.
The Bullet Club is slowly bleeding into the Western Hemisphere. It's unfortunate, Japan's state of emergency is extended because of COVID. They just need to scoop up New Japan and just fly them over to America. Start filming here in the States.
What'd you think of Hikuleo?
It was a fun watch, man. He was a fun watch. I knew
he's huge.
He's a big boy.
Ooh, he's a big boy.
They're AEW's now. Granted, obviously he's not signed with them, but I'm saying is AEW is starting to show off. Like, hey, we do have guys that are a little bit larger. Now, granted, they don't have well, I mean, they do have Paul White, but they don't have a wrestler built like Paul White yet, but also just to touch back really quick, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk totally confirmed, because the actual quote from Tony Khan was when he was asked about him, because they flat out asked him, like, he said he can't comment. And that means, yes, I signed him, because A, if you have signed him, you're gonna not spoil it unless you're WWE, and then you just hop on Twitter and just say, hey, next week. But but if you don't have him signed and you do have all this rumor mill running, you have to squash that shit, because
it's true.
Because you build everybody up, and then they don't come out, and they're just, whether it's justified or not, pitchforks are coming out. So
they will, especially in Chicago.
Yeah, him saying, like, I can't comment on this. Oh, you've signed them. You've definitely the ink has already dried. I wholeheartly believe. Okay. Another person that's returning to wrestling, not making quite as many waves. Did you watch the short stint Cain Velasquez had in WWE?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Apparently, he's almost ready, or if not already ready, for his comeback. Not to WWE though.
Okay.
AAA.
All right.
And
that's a better fit for him.
Yeah, what'd you think of him?
I mean, the built-in history with Brock, but I mean, it's funny. One of my friends said, you're going to assume Cain Velasquez is a shockwave at the end of SmackDown, but you're going to let us know 2 weeks in advance Matt Riddle's coming up. I mean, it was it was so backwards. I mean, I get that Brock was the guy at the time. He just squashed Kofi. So you bring Cain out, and everybody knows Cain's the guy that put that scar over Brock's eye. I get it. Mm-hmm. But he didn't look like a person that, to me would give Brock a fight. I wasn't impressed by him. Again, in the octagon, in his world, yeah, I get it. But it's WWE. They're not going to go into the octagon. We all knew they weren't going to go into the octagon. So it just really I never gave it much. I was just like, okay, I get it. They're who's Brock going to fight right now? Drew's not ready. That was their plan. Drew's not ready. So who we gonna throw at Brock until Drew's ready? So I wasn't giving it much beyond just the fact of, oh, great, maybe he's gonna cut his other eye this time. I don't know, but I didn't give it much. It didn't mean much to me.
It did kind of fall flat, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, you follow MMA and UFC closer. Did it mean much? Did it mean anything to you?
Well, that's the interesting perspective. Is I'm a huge fan of UFC and MMA, and Cain Velasquez is one of my all-time favorite fighters. In fact, I can go on forever about how he's the greatest fighter that never was. And meaning is the tools that he had put him leaps and bounds above his division at the time. Nobody could touch him, but the man was always injured. His knees just kept blowing out, and he just could not stay healthy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because the quick synopsis of like what made him so good was he had great boxing, and his cardio for a heavyweight matched somebody that was like a welterweight or just like a cruiserweight in pro wrestling. Right. The guy could go so much faster and longer than anybody in the division.
And they said he was dangerous up close, right?
He could box you, and if you were too much of a threat on the feet, he'd get you to the ground and just drown you. And that's just the way to put it. Is he would drown you and he would destroy you. The guy was just a world beater. But like I said, it's every time he started to get a little bit of momentum, an injury would occur and take him out. And then eventually the injuries added up. He got a weird loss in Mexico City because they were like thousands of feet above sea level, and he didn't train in Mexico City. So that saps your cardio right away. And he actually got tired for like the first time in his career. And then afterwards, like I said, he just kept getting injured. So when he came over to pro wrestling, though, that's different. Your success in MMA isn't going to just translate you, because success in MMA is great, but you need star quality. Right. Ronda Rousey was successful in MMA, came off of 2 knockout losses, but because she was such a celebrity, she made a huge splash in pro wrestling, because even if you weren't an MMA fan, you knew who Ronda Rousey was.
Correct.
You know, Cain Velasquez didn't have that same thing. Hardcore fans, diehards of MMA loved Cain, but you walk up to any Joe Schmo on the street, say, hey, what do you think of Cain Velasquez? They're not going to know who the hell you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think it just didn't translate well in WWE. It was doomed from the start. It was doomed.
Right. In AAA, how do you think he'll do?
I think he'll do good because he's Mexican descent. He's a lot more famous in Mexico than he is in the United States. He is very passionate about luchador wrestling. He's not a celebrity trying to cash in a paycheck. He's doing something he's passionate about. So the people down there are already going to be well more receptive towards him than, say, in the States. And I know personally I'm going to tune in to his matches, AAA. I'll be bringing them up on the Rewind anytime he has a match, for sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, one of the belts Kenny Omega's holding is the AAA title, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I think he's going to face
Andrade
for it, which is weird. Andrade's in a storyline right now with like Pac and Death Triangle, but yet here in a couple of months he's facing Kenny. It's weird when you have a belt collector and another guy from another promotion on a show for another one that you're not in a story. Right. That's a weird one to untangle.
Do you think that I don't know why they would do this, but if they just want to put more gold on him, do you think that Lance Archer drops it to Tanahashi and Kenny takes it off him?
No, it's not a world title.
Okay.
Kenny's collecting world titles. He's not connecting. Gotcha. He's not collecting mid-card titles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do think he's done collecting them though. We had this fantasy of Kenny. What was it? The Infinity Gauntlet of belts, which would be
5 stones.
Yeah, right. AAA, AEW, Impact, and then
the TNA title.
I don't count that one.
But it's a belt.
It's a belt. Yeah. It makes him look like he's holding more, but I'm talking about promotional wise. That would leave NWA and New Japan. I don't include Ring of Honor because I think Ring of Honor is still salty of essentially all their top draws leaving them. So
I agree.
Yeah, so the Infinity Gauntlet missing NWA and New Japan, I just don't see it happening though. It's taking too long as it is.
Not the NWA for sure. New Japan will have a better chance at.
Yeah.
No, Nick Aldis is not going to put that title in the hands of Kenny Omega. He's not.
No, I don't blame him too. By the way, at this point too, is because really would it add that much more, and also how complicated would it be? For you to
he would get massive heat from fans like me that value that 10 pounds of gold, but that's all he would get. He wouldn't get much from the mainstream fans.
Now the NWA title, it's not it's like a retro, right? It's not the classic big gold belt, right?
Correct. The NWA title that Nick Aldis is holding is the real World's Championship that really kicked off all the big world titles. The big gold belt was created when NWA began birthing WCW.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because I affiliate the big gold belt with arguably the greatest WCW champion of all time, David Arquette.
I just watched his Family Feud episode today, by the way.
I saw that the other night, man.
Yeah, him, RJ City, Dalton Castle.
City and Dalton Castle were hilarious on Family Feud.
And Jungle Boy was on there. For all AEW fans, Jungle Boy was on the feud.
Yeah,
so he did a good job too.
He didn't really get much shine.
Yeah, he got 3 answers right.
Him and Pretty Peter were kind of in the back. It was all about RJ City and Dalton Castle, man. It was fantastic.
It was great.
Speaking of these other promotions, man, I'm good at segues, by the way.
Yes, you are.
If you had more time, what promotion that you're currently not watching do you wish you could kind of get into?
Hands down, NWA.
NWA?
I can't afford Fight TV. It's one thing too many in our budget, but if I could, I would be watching NWA every single week right now. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
NWA, you know where it falls for me? I hate to say it. I always go on record. I'm just not a fan of the golden era of wrestling. And NWA, that's all they strike me as, is Territory's golden era. And I know obviously it's 2021, but it makes it hard for me to tune into an NWA show.
I just like stories that make sense.
I hear you. I hear you now. My answer is a little bit more easy. I really would like to get into New Japan.
Mm-hmm. That was the next one on my list.
Yeah, New Japan. In Stardom too. Stardom, I always hear about cool stuff, and then not to mention, there's a lot of Joshi wrestlers coming to AEW from Stardom, I want to say, and so obviously, if there's some awesome women wrestlers on AEW, I wouldn't mind seeing what that's all about. But you know,
speaking of rumors, the NWA is launching women's tag team titles at the Empower pay-per-view that's coming up. There are rumors that the top two candidates to be the inaugural champions of that could be the former Iconics.
Man, you keep hearing Iconic rumors everywhere because they're rumored to be the enforcers for Britt Baker.
That is possible too, but with the open door, they could allow them to do both.
That's true.
So
it is true. Yeah, I mean, hell.
So we'll see.
The NWA Women's Championship has been more relevant than the world title because of that.
Although I think Cody and Nick both want that third match, they just want to make sure that they have complete time and control to do it right. So
yeah, because they got theirs. What was it? The first match was at All In, right?
I think
where
so.
Cody won it because it was the one belt he had never had that he wanted.
Yep.
But yeah, man. Yeah, I can see that. I'm wondering where you would host the match. I mean, you'd want to be cool and have Cody over at NWA to try to bring some eyes over there. Mm-hmm. But now, people are tuning out to Cody. I want to say the public opinion on Cody is, I'm not saying it's completely gone negative. I believe it's in a shift, though. I don't know how well it came through on the broadcast on Dynamite. Mm-hmm. That man got booed out the building in Charlotte. And he represents the Southern Territories through his daddy. And he got booed out the building.
I told you.
Yeah, man.
All by design. He's milking it. He's slowly letting it happen. When he calls Order 66 into question and he turns the Empire against itself and he comes out and says, screw my promise, I want the world title, we will all hate him. Yeah. And that's the plan. That's the plan.
It has to be that because there's no way.
Have you heard his media calls?
Well, what I'm saying is
he's a jerk.
There's no way he's so tone deaf to his
he knows
his outfit that he wears. God, why is that guy's name fleeting me now?
Malachi Black comes out all black and then he comes out all white.
No, but I'm talking his the red, white, and blue outfit.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember this guy's name? The boys.
You talking about something like on a TV
show? Homelander.
Oh, Homelander. Okay.
Yeah, because Homelander's this do-good American superhero who's really just an evil prick. And Cody comes out looking exactly like him. There's no way he's that tone deaf. But no, I agree with you, Bama. It's by design. It has to be.
It has to be. Like you said, he's the only guy that gets the entrance that he gets. He's the only guy that, can just come back from nowhere and book his own match. And like so many people have said, I know your feelings for QT Marshall, but he had a chance to, get one over and build more heat. Cody squashed him. A lot of fans hated that and wanted to see that story continue and get more personal, but it got squashed quickly. And, he's wearing Lex Luthor's white suit. So there's just so much about this that screams he's allowing the other talent to get more time and the other talent to get more over. Eventually, he's going to put his thumb down on a Page or on a Darby Allin or on, or on somebody that the fans truly genuinely care about. And that's going to be the trigger point that I think even those that at one time, screamed whatever. And the funniest part about all of this is MJF's going to lift up and go, "Told you." I told you, everybody, you can't trust this guy. So
MJF such a dick. I saw one of my favorite fantasy booking theories was everybody's leaning so hard into CM Punk that when they do that Rampage show in Chicago, Cult of Personality will come on, but then out will come MJF. And it's just been an elaborate ruse by him the whole time.
The best one ever was that Matt Cardona will do it.
Yeah, right. Oh,
the way he did John Moxley's thing at GCW.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Another like in-person thing. Yeah, people genuinely hate MJF. He's not the cool heel to cheer.
No.
Everybody in Charlotte, man, was giving that dude the bird. Like everybody, middle fingers up. I've never seen so many middle fingers since Stone Cold.
Did you see the recent? I think about 2 months ago when the story broke out about him and that kid that wanted an autograph.
Oh yeah, I've seen the clip. Him flipping off like a 5-year-old and just.
No, not that. This kid rolled up to him in a wheelchair and asked for a picture. And MJF said, "Sure, I'll take a picture with you. Just stand up."
Oh my god.
Kayfabe, dude. That's who he is, and it works. It works. It works. There will be nobody saying he's cool because people genuinely hate him because that's who he is, and he's never showing us another side of him. It's 101, people. Be the good guy all the time or be the bad guy all the time, and people will care because you're fooling them. That's the point.
Yeah, and it also helps that he just looks like a dick. Even if he was being a nice guy, dude, he does looks like yeah. Oh man, he's so money. You know what's funny? He's a lot of people's one of my personal theories of one of the first big talents to jump over to WWE, because he screams, because WWE loves personalities. You know, they value that over in-ring action.
I'm trying to think, would he actually do it just to piss people off? But yeah, surely he's got to know that if he does that, they'll never be him. Surely he knows that.
He'll never be the PG-13 MJF.
No.
No. It's weird, but it's, we're gonna start seeing them, and it's not like hypothetically. It's actually going to be happening fairly soon. We're in year 3 of Dynamite. Contracts are about to start expiring,
Correct.
And some people are going to start going. I heard a name this morning that Brian Pillman Jr. This isn't something that's rumored. This was just one person's like,
right.
Who'd be a good fit is WWE would love Brian Pillman Jr. And then Pillman Jr. feels like he'd be fine. Like he'd fit in almost anywhere at this point,
I don't think WWE wants to remember his dad though. I don't think he'd get any props off of that.
They'd probably change his damn name.
That's what I'm saying.
They would probably change his damn name.
I don't think they'd play into it. If Ray wasn't there on the site, would they do Dominic that way? I don't think so.
Well, that was a bargaining chip. Dominic literally is currency.
Right.
Ray said what he wanted.
Yeah.
And Dominic, being pushed and being on TV and
right.
Getting some shine was the payment. We're literally seeing WWE pay Rey Mysterio. But make no doubt about it, Dominic's extremely talented. You know what I mean? Just would we see him on TV? Would he be a tag team champion right now? It's hard to say. It's hard to say because he has the same look and feel as Carrillo. And where the hell is Carrillo?
Like what's his name? Harry Smith that just came back, Bulldog's son. He was on a dark match. You got the Bulldog's son back, and you're not going to announce it. You're not going to promote it. British Bulldog, one of our all-time greatest legends. His son has come home. Everybody, if I don't think they're, and no offense to Brian Pillman, but Bulldog was 3 times the superstar in the WWF that Pillman was.
Yeah, so Pillman's got a cult following, is what
he does.
Yeah,
he does.
Those who remember and love him, very passionate about him. I mean, hell, I never even got to see him live, and I've got one of my favorite shirts, if not my favorite shirt's a Brian Pillman shirt.
Mm-hmm.
It got a lot of recognition actually on Wednesday.
I'll tell you the child of a star that I'm most interested, just because how the heck is he going to be able to overcome the stigma, is David Benoit.
Oh, it ain't happening. It ain't that dude will never rise above the indies. Yeah. I heard it. Well, the kid's built like a twig. All right. He needs to bulk up. He has no size on him. We don't have any footage of him. You know, that interview on Dark Side, he was just like, I want to get into wrestling. That doesn't sound like somebody who, now granted, obviously his upbringing, completely unique and fucked up. You know what I mean?
He still gets death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's been doing this his whole life. It seems as a guy like took an interview and was like, oh, this interview's inciting some passion. Now that the cameras aren't on him though, what's he doing? Where is he? Is he wrestling? Is he training right now? As far as the stigma goes, you could get over it, but it ain't happening. I don't think so. Something else, really quick. I don't know how I'm going to transition to this one.
I'm sorry. I mean, it does a wet blanket on it.
So do you remember when? Do you remember the reports that back in May that someone broke into the Thunderdome and stole a bunch of stuff?
Correct, including wasn't it? Oh gosh, whose title got snatched? Was it? Oh gosh, yeah.
So 3 title belts got snatched, and they were signed by various superstars. So they're not television titles; they're just they're titles. A corner ring pad, and then Sheamus's Celtic Cross pendant got stolen.
I remember that. Yeah. Yes, I remember that.
So they're now offering a cash reward, $5,000. Any information leading towards whoever stole that stuff getting it back.
Wow.
And then Sheamus has also offered ringside seats at a show with plenty of beer.
So yeah, he's worn that thing since day one. Yeah. So I know that thing means a lot to him. So
yeah, I mean, it has to. I'm just wondering. I was like, what do you do? I guess you could get rid of it, but it ain't going like on eBay. You'd have to find some shady collector. Like, I don't know how you would even hunt that person down to sell it.
Yeah, it'll probably end up on Charles Robinson's wall somewhere.
There you go.
Yeah. WWE. What's the show? Hidden Treasures?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, that's where they'll finally find it. Somebody will have it and they'll find it on camera.
Some abandoned storage unit.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Bama, you play video games?
Not often. I used to be a bigger gamer. I had a PS2 until about 2012, and then when Nate was born, I didn't have time, and so I have a few apps. I have a few phone apps, and I have a couple of. I have like 1 or 2 games on my laptop, but nothing that I'll spend more than a few minutes a day playing or something.
I hear you. I'm kind of in the same boat, man. I don't have enough time. If I didn't have the podcast, I'd probably play more games.
I probably would too, honestly. I mean, Jess and I, my wife, have talked about. It's funny, we both have the same first name wives, but it was funny. So we were talking about. I was like, eventually, Lucy and Mark are gonna be at someone's house that has one. So this is gonna come up. So at that, she's like, "Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there." Yeah, I know you just want it for you, and you're making an excuse, but no. I mean, I love NCAA. Of course, I love wrestling games, and I love strategy. I love not really Call of Duty. I'm not a first person shooter kind of thing, but I love games that involve medieval warfare, or things like that where you're playing, back in assemble your armies, set them in forth in the battle, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So. If you like strategy, there's a console/computer game that's actually on mobile you might want to check out. It's called XCOM. Have you ever heard of it?
I think so.
Yeah, XCOM. I'm not sure if it's just the first one or the second one, but essentially you have a base and you'll send teams, I think of like 4 out, and it's turn-based. It's top-down turn-based, but you have to be very strategic, and I guess the game is also, I played it for a little bit, it's super unforgiving. Like, it forces you can't just run and gun and then heal yourself after every battle. Like, if you put your guy in a wrong position, he's going to get ate up, and then unless you're playing on easy or something, it's also permadeath.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
so
Wow.
you literally, it's rare to have a game nowadays that actually has game over,
Wow.
because you're building a base, recruiting troops and everything to
Mm-hmm.
stop, like, it's like an alien invasion. Um, but if you can either A, you can't stop the alien invasion in time, or B, you,
Mm-hmm.
you, you can't make it through a match. You're like, it's game
Gotcha.
over, man. You got to start all over. It's a pretty good one. It was so hard, I had to quit. I quit. I played the much easier Gears Tactics. It's played the
Mm.
same. That was mine.
Is there a game that everybody else has beaten but you haven't?
Everyone else has that I haven't. Ooh, that's a good one.
Like, for instance, I've never beaten Mario Brothers 1.
Oh, I beat that. I never beat it like world for world. I always did the whole trick where you jump into the
I've
tubes,
never even done
the
that.
warp tubes. Yeah.
I beat Mario 2. I've beaten Mario 3. Super Mario World I've beaten, but the original Mario on regular Nintendo, never beat it.
I think a lot of my friends have beat Red Dead Redemption, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get but like halfway through that game.
Mm.
I ran out of time. DJ had just been born when that game came out, and trying to have a 3-year-old and a newborn and play
Mm.
video games that's like takes hours and hours of playing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get through it. And then
Yeah.
eventually, I think my whatever I was playing it on my PlayStation, I think just crapped the bed. Um, but yeah, looking at this Dead by Daylight game, you got like a bunch of people. There's like a
Mm-hmm.
murderer out, and you and like a team of 4 people have to try and like
Mm-hmm.
power up some engines and stuff before you get murdered. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can be the murderer. It looks cool. It looks like a short burst game. You can hop in, play for like 10, 15 minutes, and then hop out. That's what I'm looking for in my video games
So it
nowadays.
sounds like Among Us to the 10th power, sort of.
Yeah. Kind of like that. Yeah. I think Matt Ritter played another version of it, which was Friday the 13th, which was the same game, but just Friday the 13th. And
Gotcha.
yeah, look cool, man. Look cool. I'll have to play some. Might actually. No, what am I talking about? I said I might play some after I get off here. No, I'm going straight to bed. I'm not gonna lie.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't go to work till 11, so I won't even upload this. I'll just wake up in the morning and do everything. But oh man. So what about you, Bama? Anything you want to talk about? I brought my list.
You've covered a ton of stuff. I mean, who's is there a person that you're wanting to get on here and interview?
Oh man. So I was able to catch up with Jay Thunder. That was
Mm-hmm.
fun. Eating the gummy bear wasn't. Um, it's I've wanted to do something with Sean Ross Sapp. I really have. Also,
He'd spoil it.
yeah,
He'd spoil it.
yeah. Sean Ross Sapp. I've wanted to do something with him. I've also wanted. Now, granted, this isn't really anybody in the wrestling business, but just like I'm a huge fan of theirs. Is Steven Larson from Going in Raw.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of their podcast. Hell, if I could get like 15 minutes to talk about comics with Steve, like that would be awesome. Pro wrestler though, I'd want somebody that's gonna bring personality and be a lot of fun, but also be like super intriguing. And I haven't really given it too much thought. I'd love to talk to Jungle Boy.
Yeah. Jack Perry.
Yeah, see, like how he got in the business and everything, and I mean his dad,
Yeah.
about his dad and everything, just
Yeah.
super fun. And then it's weird because anybody in WWE I'd want to interview, I know the questions I would ask, they would never answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's true.
yeah. I think Aleister Black would be pretty cool. Malachi.
Yeah, he definitely would be. He definitely would be.
See, but he's already spilt all the beans.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of he's already done it all. Have you seen the there's a fantastic YouTube video by one of the guys from Wrestle Talk. Oh gosh, what's his name? Here, I'm gonna pull it up really quick. He did this awesome video. You have to check it out.
Okay.
It's only about like 20 minutes long or so. but it is on the character. God, why can I not think of it? It is actually Parts Fun known. He's just known. Here we go. I don't know why I'm drawing such a blank.
It's all right.
Here we go. I'm on their YouTube now. Oh, don't need that playing.
Yeah, don't want to get flagged.
So, okay, here we go. It is he does thought pieces, like think pieces. And he did one on the character of Aleister Black, and then it was also going through. Oh, it's called the explained videos. Here we go.
Okay.
Explained, and it's the Aleister Black explained, and what he does is he goes into
the behind the character.
Yeah, and also like what makes up the character. I remember just looking at.
Is it one of those things where you could tell he's talked with Aleister to get this information, kind of thing?
Well, no, it actually seems like this is stuff that he pieced together himself. However, it was so good that Aleister Black, who had watched it, went on Twitch and told everybody, like, he's spot on. Go watch it. Like, if you want to know about my character, this guy nailed it on the dot. And that was the really fascinating thing was, this thing was made up of. Here it is. Okay, this was made up of somebody's research that they did, their interpretation of everything, and then having the character, having Aleister Black himself, come out and say like, look,
and endorse it. Yep.
Yeah, you nailed it. Okay, so here it is. It's
awesome.
Parts Fun known, and it is God, why can I not think of the dude's name? Laurie Blake is the guy's name. But anyways, he does this thought piece on him. It's fantastic. It walks you through from inception of his character in NXT all the way up to main roster to where he's at now in AEW. Right. It's only about it's not even 15 minutes long. You have to check it out. It's so good.
I definitely respect Aleister for as much as possible, even with the crap hands he was dealt on the main roster, the second half of his main roster run. I respect him for getting to AEW and going, look, I'm not letting go of this. Even the eye injury, I'm living it because this is who I am. I have a never ending story. So it's going to make it, I'm not going to just be reborn and be a whole new person. This is me. And so I really respect that about him. And what if this guy has one on Bray Wyatt? Because I still to this day have no clue about that character. So,
well, the other thing that's also interesting that I learned, like a couple minor pieces, is talking about how like his character is really kind of now. Granted, it's not so much on the nose as demonic possession, but that's kind of it. And one of the things that they talked about that he even mentioned is one of the biggest misinterpretations. And this is Laurie Blake, not even from Aleister Black. Is he's not rising from a crypt or from a coffin when he comes up. That's literally him emerging from the void. That's where Tommy End stopped and Aleister Black began. And it was him coming out of a black void. And so many eye-opening things about it was really, really cool. I'm going to probably post the link in the in my about section on YouTube.
Because Malachi Black hasn't had an entrance yet, correct? He's just shown up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have the official music yet. Don't have the entrance. No, we don't have any of that. But
that's an interesting topic I've been wanting to throw to you. Do you like Jon Moxley coming out to Wild Thing? I hate it.
I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite. I like his original entrance.
I like unscripted. To me, it gets me more juice to watch him fight. So
yeah. But Wild Thing, I will say, does add a fun vibe to the audience. Because he came out, believe it or not, even though he wasn't on Dynamite, we got to sit through the tapings of Elevation and Dark, which actually occur next week, and he was one of the main attractions of Dark.
Okay.
So yeah, he was in Charlotte, and we got to watch him have like a fairly quick match. But yeah, he came out to Wild Thing. The only thing that bummed me out is he didn't come through the audience.
He came out. He came down the ramp.
No, he didn't even come out the ramp. He came out through like one of the archways. So you know how normally he comes out like the side of like Daly's place and comes down the stairs.
Right.
This was kind of like he came out from the bottom floor just through one of the entrances. So imagine I imagine like 2 or 3 people that were in the hallway got to see him, but he wasn't like coming down the stairs or nothing. Which kind of
you get the feel like he just literally lives however the heck wants to. He probably just got a hot dog and he's like, oh, there's my music, here I come.
My favorite thing was he made an entrance from outside one of the stadiums. I want to say it was in AEW, but it literally was snowing out. He wasn't even in the building, and the camera follows him from outdoors, walking in the building. Like, geez Louise.
What's funny, because I asked Jimmy Korderas, who had the most unusual, pre-match ritual. I remember hearing Undertaker on the Broken Skull session say the weirdest thing to him was Jake the Snake Roberts did not pump, did not work out, did not, any of that. Literally just sat in the back, smoked a cigarette. The moment his music hit, threw the bag over, walked out, and immediately just turned into Jake. So so I could just almost picture John having that same kind of mentality. This is just screw it. This is who I am. So I'm just gonna do whatever I want wherever I happen to be in the building. All right, I'm going this way. And so I don't know.
He does strike you that he's being authentic to himself.
Yeah. Dude, don't you know him in the Shield was such a weird feeling for him to have to be that guy when he's definitely not that guy. So
yeah, man. I remember he looked like an old like a Die Hard villain with the slick black hair, like slick back hair. I remember that was such a weird look for the guy.
Yeah.
I think he looks all right. I think his bald look has finally grown on him a bit. I think that's a good look. You just gotta take it from me. You gotta let it go at some point. At some point,
I'm getting close, man. It's thinning right in here.
Oh, you're
close.
good though. You look like you got luscious locks compared to what I have.
I have to put sunscreen on my head because I get burned if I don't. So it's thin up there.
I'm only like 1 or 2 steps away from Baron Corbin. Like I got Lone Island right here on the front of my head, and if it wasn't for that, I got the same hairline as Baron Corbin.
Okay, that's my last question for you, and then whatever else you want to talk about. I know we're running out of time, but do you want them to go down this road with Baron Corbin, or do you want to keep hating this guy?
It's fun. You didn't watch SmackDown. They did not make him sympathetic tonight.
Okay.
So it's weird. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. Sometimes they play up the heel nature really good with him. And then like last week they dialed it back a little bit and made him sympathetic. Right. Because last week he was kind of a dick, but he was also apologizing. Right. And I got really intrigued because you've watched last week's SmackDown, right?
Yes. So
I was really intrigued with the whole dynamic of him and Kevin Owens. Because, Baron Corbin's been a dick for years. He was legitimately last week trying to repent. He was still being pathetic, but he was trying to repent to Kevin Owens.
Right.
Kevin Owens is fascinating because that's a man who has already gone through that, was a dick for years, betrayed everybody, but has sort of found his redemption, Yep. And Kevin Owens obviously rejects him, but then after, he gets shot in the dick and then Dolph Ziggler steals the money that Kevin Owens gave him. Kevin still came to his aid to chase him off, and I got really intrigued by that. And I was like, okay, that's a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
This week, we didn't get that. We got pathetic jerk face Baron Corbin. He was still very pathetic, but he was not sympathetic at all. Like by his actions and his words, you'll see. You were like, yeah, screw you, buddy.
Do you think they dipped their toe in the water and realized we're not going to be able to do this, so let's just start going the other way?
It actually just strikes me as it's a week-to-week basis, like anything else in WWE. Yeah. Last week they were like, you know what'd be a really cool story? Let's do this. And then this week, like, oh, you know what story we're trying to tell? How do we get to that story? Oh, here we go. We'll use Corbin. And so I feel like it's just a classic case of WWE just not being able to book out a month or 2 in advance. And Corbin might just be showing up like, hey, do you want people feeling bad for me this week, or do you want them to hate me? Because
Unless your name's Roman Reigns and Paul's booking for you, because then you got your story laid out probably till WrestleMania 39 when The Rock finally meets you.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was fun. Bama, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. As always.
Yeah. Once again, you guys, hey, if you stuck around, man, thank y'all very much. Like, subscribe,
for sure.
Comment, leave a star rating, whatever it is on the podcast.
Wherever you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, man. Just go ahead, interact with us. Hit us up on Twitter. Myself at the Kai Tai Show, our show at Smack Draw Pod. Bama, where can they find you again?
At Bama Dave 24 on Twitter, and at Bammer Slammer is the show on Saturdays. Again, tomorrow's interview with Jimmy Korderas is dropping at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on our podcast as well as on our YouTube channel. When the moment it hits, we'll tag it everywhere. And I'm hoping to be back next Saturday evening live with a couple of fresh ideas, and then I'll probably be taking a week off because coming up, we're going to be doing Check Your Temperature for TakeOver and for SummerSlam. So that's going to be a busy week.
Hell yeah, man. I love that you said, like, I'm going to do 1 to 2 shows a month with you guys, and you've just been pumping the content.
Well, that's why I told Jessica, I said, I'm going to have to take a week off before that one because we're going to be doing 2 that week. Yeah. I'm going to have to take a week off before and after that one. So.
Right. Like always, you guys, man, until next time, y'all have a good one.
See ya. Roll Tide.